Welcome, everybody, to Nerdy 430, the podcast where myself and my buddy Tim
Hey, everybody.
talk about nerdy things that we have seen lately. I am Kevin Bauer. With us today is a very special guest, Lauren Moore. Lauren, how should I introduce you for these?
However you want. I don't know. I don't know. I got lots of opinions. I usually have lots of beef on things.
Kevin, this is Lauren. Lauren, this is Kevin.
Thank you for this introduction. I feel good about
Glad
this.
you guys are finally meeting. I feel good that we finally got you two in the same room. I'm quite the matchmaker, and I think we've got a love connection here. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to plant that seed and then sit back and see if it grows.
Aw. The reason, among many other reasons, that Lauren is the perfect guest for this series of Power Rangers episodes we're doing this week, starting with the 1995 episode today and the 2017 movie later in the week, is because Lauren was not allowed to watch Power Rangers as a child. It was deemed too violent by her parents, the same parents that allowed her to watch her dad play Doom. Decided that Power Rangers was too violent.
Yeah, I never understood. It was mainly, sorry to throw her under the bus, but it was mainly my mom. I don't think my mom wanted me watching my dad playing Doom either, but I think for some reason this is where she drew the line, and I begged and begged, can I please watch the Power Rangers? And no.
So what did you know of the Power Rangers before this movie marathon?
So I guess I've watched a little with Kevin now that I'm an adult and I can make my own decisions and do naughty things like watch the Power Rangers. But before then, it was just like this band of cool people, that included women, which was appealing to me. And I loved pink. There was a pink Power Ranger. There was it was two women with a group of guys, and they were all working to like fight crime, and it wasn't just like a bunch of dudes. So then I was like, oh, this would be super fun. I think I would really like this. Mom, can I please watch it? No.
So the 1995 movie, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Morphin with an apostrophe. It's like the hyphen in Spider-Man. It's got to be there. It's just not the same. Follows the Power Rangers already fully in the swing of ranging power. They're doing extreme sports. They're being role models to children when suddenly an ancient evil in the form of Las Vegas performer Ivan Ooze is unearthed. Ivan Ooze proceeds to take over the reins of evil villainy on the earth and kill the Power Rangers' mentor Zordon. The Power Rangers are left for the first time in their lives since becoming Power Rangers, powerless. They have to go on a journey of self-discovery to, I guess, a different planet where one woman lives. They gain the power of animals, but different animals than they had before. Come back, defeat Ivan Ooze, and save the parents of all the children in Angel Grove. There's the general synopsis.
It's amazing. I was so excited. Even just looking at the cover of this movie, I was so excited to watch this. This came out, I think, when I was 6. It was one of the most important films to me at the time. This was on loop in my house. I remember I thought I could have done this podcast without rewatching. I was like, legit. I haven't seen it in like 15 years or whatever, but at some point, I definitely watched it for nostalgia. Like at some point in college, everyone was like, yeah, let's all watch the Power Rangers movie or something. Like there was definitely, as an adult, I definitely watched it. And every time I've seen it, I've been like, yeah, it's exactly what I wanted. This is 100% what I was looking for, what I thought this was. It meets all my standards. I had a great time watching this. I really did.
Absolutely. This movie is fun as hell. I mean, it's got everything you want from a 90s movie. There's extreme sports. There's like rollicking 90s alt rock songs. There's like the really corny practical effects with bodysuits that are very rubbery and like just a metric fuck ton of smoke and fog machines running. And then you have, I think, the thing that's like the chef's kiss on top of a 90s action movie, which is really shitty early CGI.
Yes.
It checks all the boxes.
The ending is almost unwatchable with the Zord fights, which is such a shame.
Never has a robot been so shiny.
They're the highlight of the TV show. I believe this one takes place between seasons 2 and 3 of the show. On the show, they come up with another reason, but pretty much every season they would kind of reboot the characters a little bit. The show is basically uses footage from a Japanese show called Super Sentai for all the Power Rangers and all the Zords. They would buy the footage and then they would basically film just video of these like Americans doing all of the stuff out of costume to fill the half hour for the TV show, and came up with all the plots. But then Super Sentai would like change the costumes occasionally, and then they would have to like come up with a plot way to like introduce these new costumes and all this stuff. So whatever. So this takes place between seasons 2 and 3. We've already had 2 long seasons of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and this is kind of our primer into their newest phase, which is going to be new Zords, new ninja costumes. Lauren, was it overwhelming to suddenly be dropped into this vital, rich world of the Power Rangers? Were you like, oh my God, I don't have any history with these guys. I have no idea what they're thinking or saying or what. Did you have any questions about this?
Not really, because Kevin kind of had filled in some gaps while we were watching and before we watched, but also I just was along for the ride. It was fun. It was everything that I thought it would be and more. It made me feel, honestly, just sadness that I hadn't experienced it as a kid, because it was just everything about it made me like, oh my gosh, I would have loved this as a kid.
Was it about on par with like what you expected Power Rangers type stuff to be? It
exceeded my expectations, honestly. Because I was like, oh no, like they're going to have technically like, you know, they're going to have 2 girls, but they're not going to do anything. But like, not only did they do stuff, another benefit that I would have loved and appreciated as a kid is that Kimberly is Susie Q. So I would have been like, oh my gosh, I already love her. And all of it was like, she was kind of like, not the leader. I know she wasn't the leader, but she was like driving a lot of what was going on a lot of the time. And she was like in the front, like, okay, guys, come on, let's go. So like, it was great. I loved it so much.
She is like very Susie Q until it comes to Tommy, in which case he like always needs to save her.
I know. I do hate that. I kind of wish she would have a little bit more agency in that area, but it's like they need to hint that there's something going on there between them, I guess, but only a whisper of it. Like there's barely any touching between them. There's nothing really, but enough to make you go, is there something?
What a tease. What a tease. That'll be one of my beefs. I
do want to, maybe this is jumping ahead a little bit, but Tim did research on this. We were texting about it separately, and I love this fact. Tim did research as to whether or not Tommy and Kimberly ever kissed.
Yeah.
In the series.
Because I want them to be together so bad. And it was every childhood thing of like the frustration. Because you're 6, like whatever. When I was a little kid, I wasn't thinking about like, well, I don't know. Amy Jo Johnson, the Pink Ranger, was an inspiration to me. Before I even knew what that was as a young boy, it was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm all about it. That's awesome. And I was looking at Tommy like, dang it, that dude's the coolest dude I've ever seen. Those 2 people belong together. It only makes sense. And based on my research from the internet, they kissed 3 times. And then eventually, and I guess that meant they were dating. And then Kimberly left him. She left the show to go be in the Olympics. And then the new Pink Ranger and Tommy fell in love. And then in the Power Rangers canon, they are together and have children and are together for the rest of it. So they introduced a new character named Kat, who is like Tommy's love interest, going like his soulmate in this series, which I hate. I'll be honest. I completely hate it.
Yeah.
That man, and Kimberly did him dirty too. She's just like, oh, I met somebody new in Florida and like, I'm out. God, I was on the forums with these like whatever 16-year-old girls from the 90s complaining about all this stuff. Oh, it was brutal. One thing I did one thing I did notice or did want to say is from the TV show, we had 5 Power Rangers initially, right? 3 of them left and were replaced. The only original Power Rangers in this movie are Billy and Kimberly. And then Tommy shows up later as the Green Ranger. He's a bad guy. Now he's the White Ranger. And then there's like, you know, the Yellow Ranger and the Black Ranger are just, it feels like very much in the movie, they don't really know what to do with them. They're just kind of there. in the background. And I feel like that's kind of what happened with the show, right? Is like Kimberly was by far the most popular. Then Tommy comes in, by far the most popular. And like the two of them are driving everything. And then occasionally Billy comes in, pushes up his glasses and says affirmative. And that's kind of like the whole dynamic of Power Rangers to my
Honestly,
recollection.
while you're saying this, I can't picture what Billy looks like.
Oh, interesting.
Wait, and I might be mixing him up. I remember the guy with the big eyes and the wide face. I don't know which one he was.
That could be anybody.
That could be any of them, yeah.
Billy's the Blue Ranger. Yeah, kind of like dirty blonde hair.
And
glasses.
Rocky was new. Who was it?
I
Zach
don't
was
remember anybody
new.
with glasses.
Aisha was new.
So Zach was the original because I was about to.
It was Adam. Adam's the new guy. Yeah.
Adam's the new one. Because I was going to clap back on Tommy. You mentioned that Tommy, after Kimberly left, fell in love with the new Pink Ranger. And I was going to say, that just tells me that Tommy was in it for all the wrong reasons.
How
he was
dare
just
you.
interested in her because, look, he was just interested in her because she was the Pink Ranger. As soon as there's a new Pink Ranger around, that's who he's into. Tommy needs to get his head on straight. I was going to bring that at him until I realized that as a kid, the Black Ranger was my favorite. Zach loved him, loved the Mammoth Sword. Then he left the show and they brought on Adam. By the time the movie rolls around, they give Adam, I was on the fence about Adam. I liked Zach a lot. They give Adam the Frog Zord in this one. As a kid that loved frogs, I was way back in. I was like, let's do this. This is great. Black Ranger, still my favorite.
Zach was like, to my recollection, the Michelangelo of the group, where he was always like dancing and like good times and like would do like dance fighting moves and stuff like that. Like he at least had a thing. I don't remember the Yellow Ranger ever having a thing except being like not as smart as Billy. And then they replaced him with these guys where I'm just like, okay, I feel nothing for Rocky. I just have nothing. There's nothing emotionally for me for Rocky or honestly Adam or Aisha.
He's a wash. Rocky is like the thing when Jason. So the original Red Ranger was Jason, and there was, some pretty good drama that came out of the fact that he was the leader of the team. And then Tommy came by and he is so clearly the coolest. He's physically the coolest a human being can look in the 90s.
He's so cool.
He's unbelievable. It's not fair at all. So there's this tension where Jason was the leader, but now here's Tommy, and Jason has to grapple with the fact that the control of the Power Rangers has been wrestled away from him by a truly worthy heir.
Gang, when did you know that this was going to be the best movie soundtrack of all time? The music slaps. This movie opens with the Power Rangers getting ready to jump out of an airplane to go parachuting. They're like in a high school. For some reason, their high school is involved in a fundraiser where high schoolers are unassisted jumping out of airplanes. Bulk and Skull are there. They both almost jump out of an airplane without parachutes. And everyone's like, oh, okay, this is fine. This is normal behavior for people. And then Higher Ground by Red Hot Chili Peppers comes in. And these guys are like falling from the sky to some sick chili beats. And then you're like, oh man, this is just going to be a fun ride all the way through. So good.
I mean, I want to flip this on your head. And when did you know, in my case, that you were going to love this as much as you thought as a kid? And that was it. The beginning, that opening scene, I just was like, yep, here we are. This is it.
I am dead serious. I think about that opening sequence once a week. I think about it so frequent. It completely blew my mind. The music, the fact that they were all like, every single time they show the Power Rangers in a different like variation of outfits, but they're all still color coordinated.
Yes.
Oh, I eat that up.
Lauren, how would you rate their fashion?
I loved it. And my favorite was Aisha. I loved her yellow like Nike sweatshirt and then the like yellow bottoms and the shoe. Oh, perfect. Loved it.
They were into athleisure before it was cool. They are just so awesome. They're color coordinated. I think about the parachuting thing all the time, and then them going right to rollerblading together. I swear, yeah. I used to think about them rollerblading together like I would just daydream about like, man, I can't wait to make some friends that I can just go rollerblading with. And we're all wearing our own uniforms and going through they're rollerblading through a construction site and then like high-fiving. And they're just the kind of people who are just so happy to be together and be around each other. They're just high-fiving constantly. It's like, it's a contagious energy they've got there. And then they bring it.
You live that kind of life.
And then they bring it home with Van Halen at the end. Dreams? Are you kidding me? With all those fireworks, it's amazing. God,
the fireworks.
Tommy and Kimberly got something that night. There's no way they didn't just watch all those fireworks and then like he walked her home and then they just like awkwardly hug and there was a fourth kiss we didn't know about for sure.
At least. Oh, wait. What, the music? The other song that I don't know anything about, but that like, we're in trouble. That's the catchiest song I've ever heard in my entire life. Like the Ivan Ooze thing where all the kids are partying. They played it like twice in the movie, but that thing, as soon as that song started playing, I was just taken back to childhood. I was like, this is crazy.
That and one of the best like 90s pump up songs of all time, which is the I got the power.
Yes. Yes, it's so good. It's so good.
What about that one? What was that one song, Kevin? That was like,
I don't remember.
Action boy go, girl action go.
Action boy now. Action girl now.
Action girl now. Still a banger. If that came on into the club, people would be loving it.
Dude, when we are like finally all mingling together again, I'm 100% throwing a party where all we are listening to is the Power Rangers soundtrack.
It's done. The playlist is done. You just put the soundtrack on. It's one of those soundtracks that's just perfect off the bat. It's also crazy that this movie came out in 1995, same year as Mortal Kombat. Unbelievable. Like, I know the Mortal Kombat soundtrack went platinum. Unbelievable year for movie soundtracks being great.
Unbelievable. These guys are looking over their shoulders at the Lion King. Like, keep up. How's the weather like there? What's my smoke taste like?
Meanwhile, Randy Newman is coming in hot with Toy Story.
we gotta flip the script. We gotta do something nobody else is doing. What's Randy Newman up to?
gotta break the glass and bring in Randy Newman to compete with these Power Rangers.
Break the glass. They had him on standby. He's waiting by the phone. He's got a red phone in his kitchen.
Randy Newman with a red phone in his kitchen that is a direct line from Sabin Corporation or whatever it is. Or from whatever Disney. Oh, from Disney. Because I fucked up the bit, guys. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
What about beefs? You guys got any beefs? Kevin, you got any beefs?
I have a light beef. I have a light beef before I move on to a much bigger beef. My light beef is that we get moments in this movie. And Lauren, I'm not sure if you caught this because you weren't familiar with the TV show, but we get moments in this movie where we see the Power Rangers activate powers with their uniform that are amazing, that do not exist anywhere outside of this movie.
Yes, this is exactly what I was thinking, Kevin. Preach.
I'm so mad. We see two of them. The first one is that Aisha activates this thing where the saber-toothed tiger's eyes on her helmet turn into these like high intensity beams. It's the coolest shit in the world. It's so dope.
Power beam, activate. And then just flashlights out of her head.
And then similarly, Rocky activates this thing on the T-Rex visor that turns it into like, it looks like Cyclops' visor, and he's doing some kind of like a Dragon Ball Z power level scanning around the parking garage to try to find stuff, which I'm not sure why we used a combination of night vision and just high intensity beams at the same time. I don't think it really benefits. It's like an either or situation, but we got both.
You're right. It's like putting on night vision goggles and then turning all the lights on. It's like you're just blinding yourself.
You're not really getting benefit out of that. I loved it. My beef is that we didn't get to see that for any of the other Rangers. I want to see that for every single person. It is so cool.
We did, though, because we got Kimberly had a whip that she had one of my favorite quotes as a kid, which was like, have a nice trip. See you next fall. Bye-bye. While she like uses the pink pterodactyl whip to like beat up these bad guys. And then Billy had like a weird grappling hook thing. The Blue Ranger had like a weird grappling hook that he would like swing on and stuff. So they all had these weird gadgets that I thought were like kind of cool, but I also just really wanted to see their normal powers. Like give me the sword, give me the cool battle axe. They used to each have like their own distinct weapon and do their own thing. And they kind of gloss over that with these like new things that are cool. I think they're all cool. but I was kind of bummed I didn't get to see the original stuff.
Oh man, that's disappointing because it is cool that they like each get like bestowed these different like items and abilities, and to never see them again would be really frustrating. Although to piggyback off of that, I do have a beef, and the beef is that Kimberly's animal that she gets is a crane. Like, there are no better animals that represent agility than a crane. Are cranes even that? Like, I don't think like, ooh, cranes so agile. It just is like, oh, we get a bear, we get a wolf, and it's just like, Kimberly, for you, the crane.
Hey, there was a crane in Kung Fu Panda who was pretty good. It seems like a graceful, majestic flying animal. I don't know why. And they eat frogs for breakfast. So I feel like that should be, the crane's more empowering than a frog for sure.
We needed to get a scene where Kimberly just ate Adam alive. Just literally ate him.
I'd let her
Just
eat
out
me.
of pure practicality.
She still got it. And they're in like their 20s when they're doing this too. Kimberly's like 26 filming this movie. It's like, okay, Amy Jo Johnson. I'm all about this. Still all about it. Nothing's changed for me, Amy. Whenever you're ready, I'm here.
My beef was actually, my bigger beef was also Kimberly related. She's a Power Ranger. There's so many times in this movie where, in trying to hammer home the Tommy thing, she gets rescued like a damsel in distress. She's a fucking Power Ranger.
Yeah.
Like, let's get a little bit more Kimberly empowerment here. She's like trapped in a pile of bones and she's getting attacked by a living fossil and she's screaming like she's not a Power Ranger. Kick it and make it explode.
Yeah.
Yeah, the girls definitely are used to like make the dudes look heroic in a way that was definitely like a noticeable bummer now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, and if you are going to do that, that's one thing, but then flip it and have opportunities for them to save the guys too.
Right?
100%.
How romantic would that be if Kimberly saves Tommy? Ooh, I'd like to think he's a big enough man to handle it. I know he is. You know what? I know that kind of strong, feminine power would turn him on.
Insecurity would have been a Jason move. That's why he's not the leader of the Power Rangers anymore.
Honestly, Rocky, I don't know if he could handle a girl like that. He probably needs to be like, has like a white knight syndrome where like, he's already like, I'm the Red Ranger. The old Red Ranger was the hero. He got bummed out by the white guy. The white guys. I'm going to start referring to the White Ranger.
Rocky is such a non-factor. There's a part in this movie where like the Power Rangers are... You normally think of the Red Ranger, you think of like a strong leader ranger. There's a part in the movie where the Power Rangers are like standing in a huddle and Rocky's in the back and he like points at Ivan Ooze and is like, you're going down. And Ivan Ooze's reaction is effectively like, who are you? Just stop.
That's what I was saying when I saw Rocky.
That reminded me of a teeny beef. And it's just, it adds to the like campy factor. But I thought it was, I guess, kind of funny that like anytime something happened, they would do a reaction shot of each and every Power Ranger. And it would slowly pan through. And it would be like they each do the same reaction in succession. So it would be like, all right, your turn. Look away and then lower your head. And then it would go to the next person and they would do the same thing. And it would be boom, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No variation. They all did the same thing.
The only characters that have any depth to them whatsoever are Tommy and Kimberly. And the other characters are just like there, like along for the ride. They're like NPCs in a game. They're just like, they're just there. But somehow it feels like the gang's all together. And maybe it's because they're doing all the, maybe like, these dumb reaction shots. Like you see, if anything happens, you get to see how each person in the group reacts and they're all reacting the same, but it still feels like it just feels like a team effort. They're not like unique personalities, but they are a team, Here's a beef I had. I don't know. This is just nitpicky, but like Zordon's running out of power. So he's dying now. They can't just like plug him in somewhere. They can't like roll him to a Starbucks and borrow an outlet. They can't like, I don't know. There's nothing else they can do to get Zordon some power. I don't know. He smashes the things. There's no backup generator. There's just I just find it hard to believe that this guy's base gets trashed and then immediately he's dying. But I even feel bad saying that because I love this movie so much. There's nothing really bad I can say about it.
Speaking of nothing bad, my thief for this movie is the practical effects. all of the practical effects in this movie, they make me miss that era of 90s movies so much. All the like really corny costumes look great. The like Raven Crow guys that they have to fight, they look so cool. Like the real feathers and stuff that they have on them look so much better than if those same characters were CGI. The set at the very end, as we're like building up to the Megazord fight, they're kind of like flying through the city in their different Zords, and the views from their Zords were shown like a practical set, like a model of the city, and it looks so good. My only complaint with it is that like the entire final battle is CGI, because looking at the little model of Angel Grove that looked like that, I so badly wanted to watch people in giant monster costumes fight on that set. It just looks so good.
Yes, and that's 100% one of the things that was so satisfying about the TV show was these kids are hanging out at high school. Oh no, there's a Rita Repulsa sends a monster to attack Angel Grove. They morph, which is always a sequence. They did a great job of like showing these shots of like, cool, we're Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They transform into their costumes. They beat the bad guy. Every time they beat the bad guy, and then Rita's like, no, now they have to beat him when he's big. And then the bad guy grows really big, and then they have to get their Zords. And then their Zords are all these like live action Godzilla type like battle. And so like they're punching each other, but it's like dudes in costumes, and it's so satisfying and real that it was just so much fun to watch, and to see that become this CGI mess is definitely a bummer. But you're right, like there's shots where then they cut away from CGI to like a physical thing going through a building, and that looks cool. Like it looks great. Like all the practical stuff looks super neat in this movie. Even the costumes I think look great.
Budget. Oh, the costumes look awesome. If they put the same budget that it took to make the CGI in the first place into a practical fight scene between a couple of actors, it would probably look amazing.
Yes.
Like if they just pumped money into it.
Lauren, did you have any thieves? What stole the show for you? Who or what?
I agree with Kevin, and kind of just in a broader sense, the whole 90s vibe of the movie, just like, I don't know, like the rollerblading thing. It reminded me of like Rocket Power or something, like a group of friends just like going out and hanging out outside. Like it's so nostalgic for me to watch, and just how much time has changed, and all of it, the clothing, the music, the look of everything, the way people interact with each other. It's just, what a great vibe.
It's so maybe honest, or like it's like a Carly Rae Jepsen song where it's just like,
yes! Oh, no wonder I love it.
I'm just singing about love, like the real way, like the way we want things to be, and it's like too genuine to like that it somehow seems fake because it's genuine, but it's just too real, you know?
It's so pure.
It's just,
it's like it's not taking itself too seriously. It's just like, hey guys, we're gonna have fun. And you know what? I did have fun.
It's so genuine that like it takes you, when you're going through the like story arc that the Power Rangers are going through, you feel it, because it's like, yeah, here are these people, they have power, they can morph. And then they get that power taken away from them. And they even have a comment where Billy's like, wow, fighting's a lot easier when you can morph. And it's like, damn, I bet it would be.
Dude, that's the perfect setup for my thief, which is all of the catchphrases in this, all of the dialogue in this is so good. Every other line is a quip. It's a joke. It's a joke fest. They're hanging out with Ivan Ooze. All of the guys hanging out with him are making jokes. It's so funny. It's just, I was shocked at how funny it was in like dumb ways where they're like, where the Power Rangers introduce themselves to Ivan Ooze and they're like, we're the Power Rangers. And he goes like, ooh, where's my autograph book? I remember that from when I was a kid. It was all these things like that where it's like, oh, who locked you up? They're with Zordon. Do you remember Zordon? And then he just like screams and throws lighting into the sky. And then one of his henchmen goes, I think he's heard of him. And it's like, that's the whole movie. Like constantly these guys are slinging jokes. They're doing rhymes. They're just like, all the catchphrases are so fun. Every character has a catchphrase. They're all jumping out of the helicopter, out of the plane at the beginning which I feel like we've spent most of this podcast talking about, but it deserves most of our attention because it's the best thing about this movie. Every one of them jumps out and has a cool, like, here we go, all systems go, ready or not, or like whatever. They're just constantly doing things and saying little quips about it. And then at the end, Tommy brings it home with just the funniest, like most empowering thing where he's like talking to this little kid who's just been like the B story the whole time. And he's like, well, things got tough and you didn't panic. You, my friend, demonstrated true bravery. And the kid says back to him, it's like what you taught me about martial arts. Use your head. And above all, stay calm. And I was like, yes. I don't know why that hit me so. It was just such like 90s nostalgia to me. They're just like, cool. Like we had fun today, guys. But here's a little lesson on like toughness and like how to be a good person and all that stuff.
And like, remember, kids, stay in school.
Stay in school. Don't do drugs. It's just like so genuinely nice and positive. Oh my God, that final scene too, where it's like the Power Rangers save the day and they're sitting down at this like pier and they're just going to town on like these biggest like crab, like seafood bowls. I don't know why it was so funny to me this time, but there's just crab legs just like sticking up out of all their food. It's like the food they're eating is the most like extravagant. Like it's all like shrimp, and they just went out for seafood. They went out for this crazy seafood buffet. And then Tommy drops some wisdom. Fireworks go off. Dream from Van Halen kicks in. They watch the fireworks as Tommy makes his biggest move yet of just putting an arm, like maybe resting a hand on Kimberly's shoulder. And it's like, cool, that's what we get. This is it. That's the movie. Like, we're done. We're out. It was just, no, man. I just love this movie so much. It's all a thief for me. It's all a thief.
Oh, it was fucking amazing. I got a thief moment to piggyback off that one. In that closing thing, when they're showing the fireworks and all that, the town unveils this sign that says, thank you, Power Rangers.
Oh,
and Bulk and Skull, who, are total clowns, are looking at it, and they have this really great moment where, we'd seen them bragging to people about their contribution to the final battle and helping save everybody. And so when they unveiled the sign that says, thank you, Power Rangers, Bulk and Skull look at it completely devastated, and they're going back and forth like, what? Power Rangers? No, Bulk and Skull. Bulk and Skull. Such a good little character moment. It made me want a little bit more of that.
We're the ones who saved the day. And they're like genuinely, after watching the Power Rangers transform to giant Zords and fight a gigantic monster, they're like, but we're the ones who really saved the day. Like, just classic kid. I can't believe your parents didn't let you watch this. There are so many good life lessons in this. So many clean jokes. You just missed out on. So should we wrap it up on some reckless speculation now?
Absolutely. So, Lauren, as someone who is not allowed to watch Power Rangers as a kid, we would like to get your reckless speculation on what you think happened next in the story of the Power Rangers. I want to hear what you think happens with different characters, what storylines you think might happen, and then Tim and I will give you what actually happened.
Okay. Oh boy. I mean, I kind of got a little bit of what you both were saying. It sounds like Kimberly and Tommy never really officially, or they do kind of play with being together a little bit, but maybe not a ton is seen on screen. I'm real curious what happens to, what are their names? Bulk and Skull? They stick around the high school and they like become some sort of employees of the high school. Like, I think they're going to be like, one's a janitor and one's a, like, I don't know, coach of some sort or something, but they never leave. They're just there always. I mean, I don't think this happens, but it would be cool if, like, the Power Rangers had to get to a transition moment when they're no longer teens and they have to, like, pass the torch to another generation, whether it's their own kids or just other kids. I don't know. But it's hard because I only really remember like 3 of the Power Rangers. I kind of forget the other 2.
I guess it's kind of tough. It is like there isn't a lot of depth here to work with.
Yeah, it's just, I think kind of more of the same. Maybe some, it sounds like there's some swapping of who assumes different colors or colors change. That seems to be a whole thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, they really eventually they do end up passing on, all of them do end up passing on their mantles to a new generation of Power Rangers. And I found this interesting because I don't think I haven't watched all of these, but I remember some of them. Like the first 6 seasons of Power Rangers are like a continuous storyline where they end up passing off they end up all getting like turbo powers and then like Zeo powers, which I don't know what a Zeo power is, but then
the powers. Oh, of course those would get like taken to the max.
They do. They'll basically be like, cool, we're ninjas now. Here's our ninja Zords, and something comes and destroys that, and then they're like, well, we have to discover a new power. We're Zeo now, and then it's like, we need a new thing. We're Turbo now, and then according to Wikipedia, they all hand off their powers. And then the Power Rangers go to space. And then that's the last canon season of the Power Rangers. And then every year after that, they just like find a new group of teenagers and like give them powers in like a new world and like move on. It's great. I don't know. I kind of want to get back into I got to check this out. They were samurais for a little bit.
So also to piggyback off that, you mentioned that you thought that Bulk and Skull maybe kept working for the school and tutoring people later on. What if I told you that when Power Rangers Zeo hits, Bulk and Skull get turned into chimpanzees?
Oh.
They get literally turned into chimpanzees.
Duh.
They get better, but the reason they were turned into chimpanzees is because Saban Entertainment was filming a Bulk and Skull comedy spin-off show where they were going to run a hotel. The planned side person was going to be a Mexican Elvis impersonator. And they put out one test video release called The Good, the Bad, and the Stupid, and nobody liked it. So Saban canceled the plans. So the furthest that happened with the characters, they've like cameoed a few times. And as of the most recent Power Rangers season, Bulk is teaching Skull's son how to be a samurai.
Wait, what? How does he know how to be a samurai?
It's been a long road.
It's been a long journey for him.
Could he not find someone else? Or did he he's like, oh, I got this, bro. Like, I'll do it for you. It's like when your dad knows a guy, like when you need to get the roof fixed and he's got a buddy that can do it.
Oh, yeah, I got a buddy that's a samurai.
Yeah.
He's probably a samurai the way Bulk and Skull saved Angel Grove in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, where it's just like not at all. Really, we somehow in all of our lives we convinced ourselves that we actually did it, but in reality we were just not samurais.
Yeah, just running a hotel. But what is running a hotel if not being a samurai for customer service?
I think that's it, guys. That's Power Rangers. I'm so glad we did it. I love this movie. Lauren, you got anything you want to plug?
Oh man, no. Not at the moment.
What about your Instagram or whatever? Are you doing like art stuff?
Oh, I mean, yeah, but nothing that's like out there ready to. I'm animating, bouncing balls and that sort of thing, very rudimentary things. So maybe in a few months I'll be more advanced and I'll have something to share. But for now, it's very basic.
Watch out for it. It's coming.
Watch out for bouncy balls coming to you. Kevin, you got anything to plug?
Nothing to plug really outside of this show is a part of Mess Around Media. Check it out online, messaroundmedia.com, and check out all of the Mess Around Media podcasts. You got Pod Cusack talking about John Cusack movies. You got Political Therapy, where Tim and our buddy Pat talk about politics. You got Tim's own show, Come At Me Show, where Tim gives his hottest takes on your hottest takes. There's a Mess Around Media podcast dropping every day of the week, so go to wherever you get podcasts and check them on out.
Check it out and check this one out when we are back on Wednesday to talk Power Rangers 2017. They did a new one. We're going to be talking about it. Rate and review, guys. 5 stars, 5 stars. And that is it from us. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.